Welcome to Ingathering number 3. This is actually the 17th day of the 7th month of the Feast of Tabernacles. I hope and pray that you are enjoying the symposium and that you are also learning to give an answer for your faith. So, as well, try to learn as much as you can and try to listen and also participate. This is very important that you take time to participate as well, even though you're not sure. It's good to still be able to start expressing yourself and your belief. That's the purpose of this whole symposium. In this gathering number 3, I would like to introduce you to how to establish health centers. One is in the country and one is in the city. So when you do the country, it is usually recommended to purchase. If you do a center in the city, you lease or rent. And these are basically suggestions that have been given that I have followed myself all the time. So we have faith, we believe that this is God's plan for us to reach out the big cities by using the medical missionary work and going to all the world by establishing those health centers. So what is the plan now of action to go forward? Well, the plan of action is the health centers in the country are basically fed by the health center in the city. So you meet client there, you have established a little, small but many, you establish a small health center in the city, probably with a few tables for a little vegan restaurant or even just a counter or a salad bar to attract the people because people come when you have food. And then you proceed with this in establishing also a section, always have a room extra so that you can have a place where you can receive the client for studies or seminars or give a presentation. That's very important. And these are all the feeders that you need to do this work. That's what it's called, feeders. So when you meet the client in the city, they will want to go to the country if they're not well, or if they want to take the training, the seminar, like the 10-day seminars for weekend stay. So then you have a place in the country that you can do that. So that's the whole idea of establishing this program. So now in questioning where how do I go about to do that, we have that on the website of 144,000 teachers where you can find more information regarding that. So if you want also to go further to look into the financing, we have also strategic planning where we present industries that you can develop in order to get some financing for your program. Better start small and then increase your project and keep your also if you have a profession or a job right now, don't quit all that to start this project. It is well also if you can find somebody else that will work with you of the same mind and understand what you're doing. They may not get the training that you have, and you can train them this way. So that's the opportunity to start your health center. So what we suggest here in this gathering number 3 is that you always have a center in the city and a center in the country. The center you rent in the city, and in the country you purchase. Now, the financing for the place in the country, you can do it different ways. Some people go for line of credits, some people go for a mortgage, some people have the money to invest already. But if you don't, there is definitely some ways where you can develop some kind of a process that you can bring some money together. Money is never a problem. Money is maybe an obstacle, but it's not a problem. The problem is if you don't have the faith, number one, that it can work. Number two, if you don't have a plan of action. Some people start some grandiose things, but they don't even have a project. They don't even have, like I always say, I have the project and I don't always have the money. People have money, but they don't have any projects. So it would be nice if we were of the same mind and we could work together. Another way of doing it, which I have learned a long time ago, and this is the procedure I've always done, is when you start a project, for example, Way of Life is charitable. We do not buy anything under Way of Life. We basically have holding companies, or if you want to buy it yourself and lease it to the corporation that you have, yours might not be charitable, but ours is charitable. And we don't buy any building, although we're allowed. We don't buy or basically borrow money, we could say, from the bank on the way of life. We have never done that in the corporation, as we said earlier, since 1982. So what we do is we have also the approach that I was taught a long time ago to have holding company. And this gentleman, who was a pastor and a doctor at Loma Linda University, he taught us that it would be better if you gather a few people that are wanted to invest in your project and explain to them what you want to do. And you may want them to participate. They're not becoming owner of your project. Better to have your 51% preserved by you, but you can still ask them to be shareholders, so that gives them an opportunity then to participate, in a sense that they can take the training and they can encourage you. And this way you can have the finance to get you going. And this is not a debt. You're not getting into debt. You're not borrowing money. It's called investment. You give them an opportunity to invest into your holding company. That's how it's called here in Canada, where you have a holding company and then you lease what you have purchased to your charitable organization, like in the case of Way of Life, and then you're basically able now to continue with your project. So it's always important to have a plan of action like this. And don't get discouraged if it doesn't work right away. You have to work at it and build it up, and after a while, you'll understand the principles. The idea again is don't get into debts and don't let your expense be larger than your revenue, and watch your overhead. Overhead might be things like, something as simple as, oh, I'm going to need this and I'm going to need that. And sometimes you're adding too much of payments and then you cannot meet them. The idea also that has protected us over the years is because, again, Way of Life is a charitable organization, and you're not allowed to go bankrupt with a charitable organization, in the sense that if you go bankrupt as an officer, you have to quit the corporation, which is kind of difficult because then you don't have any more job to do, no more work to do in that corporation. The other thing too, the corporation can never be in the red, which is an advantage. So if you have a corporation for 40 years and you have never been in the red, well, you seem to know your business. At least that's a way I've been taught. Even for your own business, you should never be in the red. Don't get cut into expenses that you don't need. So these are lessons I've learned over the years. They may not be major lessons. For me, I've always followed this kind of a guideline. So basically, again, how to finance this project that you're going to have, whether it's a small property or not. If it is a property, for example, never, never, never accept to be partner. It's not biblical. Remember how Jacob got in trouble with his uncle Laban because he was partner with him. And at the end, in partnership, it's a fact of history, it's a fact of the Bible. There is always somebody taking advantage of somebody else, unless you're partner with your own wife. But if you're partnering with a friend, you might lose a friend or family. Better have a holding company where you give them an opportunity to be basically investors, where they get an interest on the investment once a year. And in the case of real estate, for example, you can have them as an investor, and when you sell the property, they get the percentage back that they invested through the profit that you will make on that sale. So be very wise about that, because as soon as you get involved with partnership, oh, I'm going to invest and I'm going to give you this money, and then you're going to get cut into something, and then you won't even know, maybe because you're new at this. But partnership is not biblical. This is something very important. It's better to be sole proprietorship than partnership. And if you cannot start your business without having to, borrow money, better go to a financial institution than families or friends, because that also can break a lot of friendship. So, and the best is start small and work with what you have, and just make sure that you don't spend more than you have, and then build up. You don't have to start really big and gigantic. And this, in this case, it's small but many. So what we're trying to present to you here is the fact that there are ways of doing, the project and adding with your project so that you can actually bring in some revenue. It's not just expenses, it's revenue. So the health center, the priority where you're going to make most of the revenue is not so much the restaurant. Restaurant is always, it's a known fact that, when you buy a lot of goods and everything, it's expensive. You may not sell them all, so then you have already a loss. where you actually are able to bring revenue, and it's not the point that you want to make revenue, but you do, you have to stay in business, is with the health seminar and workshop. And you invite not only your friend and your family and do it for free, you invite your clients, the people now that you have built up a relationship with, and they know your products, they know what you're doing. Even like if you can go go to a farmer and start a vegetable box, they love that. Like I have done that. You get a nice box and a plastic box or a tot they call with the cover, and you go to the farmer market and you buy some nice fruits and vegetable. You clean them up nice, and then you put a recipe in it, and you teach the people how to make a soup with this, or to make sandwiches, or to make a salad dressing. Some people don't even know all this. So you're starting doing some education, you're selling it a little bit more expensive than obviously what it's costing you. And then this way you're starting again an outreach with your food box, and the people will appreciate it. So these are ideas that we have actually in the strategic planning that we mentioned in the movement in the section in 144,000teachers.org. And those are all kind of ideas that we give. So you have the seminars, you have the workshop, you have the food box, you have a bit of restaurant in there, you have also the treatments. And although you may not want to charge for the treatment, nothing stops you from taking a donation, especially if you use your own material. You want to be able to buy that back. So the people do not understand, it's medical missionary, but you still have to survive. If you don't survive, then you're not in business, then it's not going to give anything. If you open up and you cannot stay, that doesn't look too good. Start small, but also be also of a good stewardship in bringing some revenue in your business, and this way you will be able to continue to do the work and give glory to the Lord. And as I said, a restaurant, from my experience, it's not your best feeders. It's not where your revenue is going to come. There's a lot of expense in restaurant, and if you don't have the clientele, you might cook the best food, but if you don't sell it, well, that's a loss right there. Where if you have the health center to attract the people, seminars, and you tell them you're going to have, a very important teaching, and they will follow you. Do short seminar, maybe make them last 5 weeks or 6 weeks, and then they'll keep coming back. So this is the basis of what we wanted to present for this Ingathering number 3. And then the next Ingathering, we will show you what to do on how to set up the holding company and how to make it work for you to bring some revenue so that you can purchase and have some people with you that are called shareholders. So those people are not owners, they're shareholders, and that gives them an opportunity to do mission work if they don't have any plan for mission work. And then they will be happy because they're participating in a good cause. So I hope that this helping. It comes from experience. It comes from having it done, for many years now, and it works, especially if you work at it. So may the Lord bless you until we meet again. God bless.